When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. I'm your moderator, Omar Dunlap. We have with us, as always, Brother Idris Tawfiq. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And we have our wonderful studio audience with us today. Assalamu alaikum. Today we're talking about being constructive members of society, being helpful, being useful, thinking of ways that we can better our own selves as well as those around us. But I don't want to get too much into the topic because I want to allow Brother Idris Tawfiq to give us just some of his reflections on this general idea.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-mursaleen Sayyid Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most compassionate, all praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon His final messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and the blessings and the mercy of Allah be upon all of you who are watching this program today. We're talking today, I think the best title for what we're talking about today is Muslims Making a Difference. We've got some guests who are making a difference in the society where they live. And we're all called as Muslims to make a difference. Otherwise, what's the point? We're called to affect the people around us and the society in which we live. And I was reflecting on this idea of making a difference. And I asked myself, what's the thing that's made the greatest difference in your life? And the answer was immediate. I became Muslim. I embraced Islam. That's the thing that made the greatest impact, the biggest difference in my life. And because of that, inshallah, I've been able to do things to affect other people as well. So I thought I'd tell you about Sister Aisha, because we all want to be, we all want to bring our friends to Islam. You know how at work, there's a sister working with you in the office, and you say to yourself, oh, she's such a good woman, she's such a good person, if only she could be Muslim. You know that there's a brother working with us in the mechanic workshop, and he's not Muslim, and we say to ourselves, he's a really good brother, he's honest and he's kind, he's a good man. If only he were Muslim. There's nothing more we could wish for our friends, for those we love, than they be Muslim. But sometimes we don't quite know how to do it, and sometimes we're a bit heavy-handed in the way we do it. In last summer, I was in London Central Mosque in the UK, and after the talk I gave, a sister came up to me, and she was dressed head to toe in black, wearing niqab, very beautifully attired. And she said to me, Brother Idris, do you remember me? I said, well, sister, I'm sorry, but I have no idea who you are, because I don't know who you are. She said to you, I declared Shahada in Dublin, do you remember? I said, mashallah, I do. And she introduced me to her husband. Now let me explain. I was invited to Ireland by the Federation of Student Islamic Societies in Ireland. And the tour was a tour of all the universities, all of Ireland's universities, speaking to Muslims and non-Muslims about Islam. And it was a truly wonderful week. It was a wonderful, wonderful week. Wonderful. I knew it was going to be good because the people of Ireland are Roman Catholic. Now, I used to be a Roman Catholic priest, so I thought, well, they mightn't have much interest in Islam, but to be sure, they want to know why this fellow became Muslim. So I knew I could play on this, and this is something we must learn, you know. We must use all the things available to us. So I knew the tour would be a success. And sure enough, we spoke, and we met many people, the Lord Mayor of Dublin, the Lord Mayor of Cork, the Mayor of Galway, the Mayor of Limerick, the Archbishop of Dublin. We extended hands of friendship to many people and spoke to the Muslim community. And on the first night, I gave a talk in University College Dublin about my own journey to Islam. And so I can see it now. Sitting over here, where the sisters were sitting, was a young woman, And I won't say how she was dressed, but she was sitting over here. And I gave my talk. And before the talk, the brothers had come to me and said, Brother Idris, there's someone here who's that close to declaring Shahada. If you just say the right things to her tonight, she'll come. I said, okay, fine. So I gave my talk, and as I always do in any talk I give in public, I said, I don't know why Allah Almighty has brought me here tonight, but it could be that there's someone in this audience this evening who He wants to call to Himself. It could be that from the beginning of time, Allah Almighty planned that I would be here this evening for that one person, and I had her in mind. Okay, so I gave the talk, and at the end, she was crying at the end of the talk, and so on. And I was signing books at the end, and the brothers came to me and said, aren't you going to say anything? I said, no, leave her alone. They said, but she's ready, she's ready. I said, no, leave her. When she's ready, she'll come. Well, she didn't come, and I carried on with the tour. And I think some people were a bit disappointed. As Muslims, sometimes we can't wait to get that hijab on the girl's head. We can't wait to put the Moroccan clothes on the brother to make them Muslim straight away. But it's Allah calls to Islam in His time, not us. And we're not to trick anyone or bring people before they're ready, because on Judgment Day we'll have to answer for what we've done. At the end of the week, in Trinity College, Dublin, I gave another talk, and there she was again. And throughout the talk, she sobbed her heart out, crying. And again, at the end of the talk, I was signing books, and the time was getting on, and I had her in my mind all week. And the brother said, aren't you going to bring her? I said, no, leave her alone. And the sisters were all gathering round her, consoling her, because she was very upset. And the caretaker, the janitor, announced, we have 5 minutes left, and we have to turn the lights out. So I said to the president of FOSIS, Brother Javed, go and bring her. She came. I said, are you ready to declare Shahada now? Yes, she said. And she declared in front of all the audience that I bear witness that there's no God but Allah, no being worthy of worship but Allah alone, and I bear witness that Muhammad is His messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And everyone was crying, and it was truly a most beautiful experience. And that teaches us that when Allah is ready to bring someone, we need some wisdom. I knew that she was interested. I knew it. I knew it with my know, as they say in Ireland. And I knew she was ready to come, but the time wasn't quite right, and she had to make the first step. And Sister Aisha, if you're watching with your husband Ahmed, may Allah bless you both, because you've suffered a lot. We needn't go into any personal details, but she suffered a lot in accepting Islam. And as Muslims, we must remember that many people, when they accept Islam, it's not all rainbows and flowers. Some people they're disowned by their families. Some people lose their jobs. Some people are thrown out of the house. Others, have an easy ride to start with. Sister Aisha, alhamdulillah, she took the name Aisha, that's her Muslim name. She dresses very beautifully as a Muslim sister. She found a very good Muslim man to marry. So may Allah bless them both. It teaches us, making a difference. We can make a difference when we allow Allah Almighty to take the lead. When we take the lead, it will all collapse and fail. Allah is the one to whom we submit as Muslims, insha'Allah.
MashaAllah. I think we've all learned something very special from Brother Idris's talk, that we have to be constructive members of society, but we have to do it in a way that lets people know we're doing it because of our religion, and it will have a significant impact, inshaAllah ta'ala. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll come right back after just a very few moments, and we'll look at some questions that we've asked some people, and we'll take some questions from our audience as well, inshallah. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum.
The human heart, greed, exploitation, hatred, all diseases of the heart. For the cure, join Huda TV every Sunday at 20 GMT for Moments for the Heart.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this episode of Let's Talk. I'm your host, Omar Dunlap. We have with us, as always, Brother Idris Tawfiq. Right now we're going to go to some questions that we've asked some random people. Just brought them in and asked them, how can Muslims be constructive members of society, or how can they make a difference? And what have you done to make a difference? And we're going to take a look at their answers, inshallah.
We can make a difference in our own society by our own example. We as Muslims have to make that difference, because we learn from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, peace be upon him, how to be the perfect example as a Muslim and represent the Islam as it really is. We have to show the way Muslims behave towards each other, because Islam taught us the whole life as it is. It's the way of life and everything else.
Allah Almighty said in Quran, after Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. As we know that Islam is the religion of education and learning, so we should learn in every places, in every stage of our Islam or life. So just we not only prefer to learn Islamic knowledge, just we have to learn also the information technology, computer technology, and other other new information about Islam and all things. So if we do just with Islamic knowledge and also the technology, modern technology, will be succeed in our life. As I am a student, I prefer to learn Islam. And beside Islamic knowledge, I want to learn a computer, and also I have done everything, a lot of things about this field. So this is my aim, and I would like to be every person to have this type of language and information technology.
I've learned about Islam. That's the best thing to do, because you have to learn Islam as it is, so you can represent it truly as it is, as Islam. So you do not represent a negative picture or a different picture than the Muslim really is.
Yes, I think all people will free whatever he want to say and write, but in a condition. Number one, he will respect all rights of person and society and country. And condition two, he will also don't disturb any person to worship his God and in ceremony of religion. And also I think any person will free to whatever he will say and write in of good mind and good education system, what is the staying in the country and society of any place in the world. I think it is so. Thank you. Welcome.
MashaAllah, those were very interesting answers, Brother Idris. What are your thoughts on what we just listened to?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My immediate thought is, most people in the world won't appear on the television. Most people won't make it in the newspapers. Most people won't be given an award. They won't get a gold medal for running so far, or for jumping somewhere, or for swimming. Most people won't do that. Most people won't get the Nobel Prize. In fact, most people's efforts won't be noticed at all by men and women. All of our efforts, though, will be noticed by Allah Almighty. That's everyone. And that's better than any Nobel Prize, or any article in a newspaper, or any TV show. And every one of us is called to make a difference. We won't change the world. I'm not so self-deluded to think that I'm going to change the world. But all of us can make a big difference. We can make a difference to our son or daughter. We make a difference to our husband or wife. We make a difference to our neighbors, the people at work. So, set your goals high, but start small.
I think that's why the Quran mentions, for example, if you read Quran trying to understand the bulk of the message, there's a couple of things that are going to become very clear immediately. Number one, the message of Tawheed, that Allah is one. But you'll also see a very strong social justice message, particularly in the Meccan surahs. Almost every other page of the Quran is talking about charity. And so that tells you that a large portion of the Islamic religion is about other people. It's about serving other people.
And think of the name we call one another. We call each other brothers and sisters.
Right.
The whole point of Islam is that we are brothers and sisters. We're committed to the other. It's not a selfish religion. It's
Right, not at all.
It's not what, if I might say so, it's not what Jesus did for me. It's about Allah and what I can do for Him.
Right.
And for Him, what I can do for other people.
MashaAllah. I would think that the essence of happiness, actually, part of that, part of being happy involves serving other people. And I remember one of the Sahaba, one of the companion of the Prophet, said that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the most jovial of people. I think that's because he was so happy because he was helping others. He was serving other people.
Yeah.
I think that's an element of happiness.
I think we've said it before on this show, you know, how good you feel. Just imagine how good we feel when we're walking back from the mosque after Salat al-Fajr. Doing good things makes you feel good.
That's right.
You know, when you help a poor person, and no one can see, you just do it for Allah's sake alone, you feel good.
I would say that doing good makes you feel good, makes anybody feel good, whatever the motivation. And then if you can elevate that by doing it solely for the sake of Allah, this makes you feel even better.
That's right.
So I think, well, maybe we should look to our audience and see if they have any questions about what we're discussing. Go ahead, brother.
Dear brother, I have a comment and a question for you.
Okay.
My comment is that I think every one of us can make a difference, not related to the age or the position or the studies. For example, I heard that Allah bless you and convert to Islam because of a small guy from Egypt just met you and tell you Assalamu alaikum. So what do you think about this? And my question to you that in the last period, some people do wrongs and faults on purpose, and they know they are wrong to do it. For example, who smoke, know it is harmful to the health and destroy his life, but he do. Who would not pray, know it is haram. So how can we face this?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You're exactly right, brother. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the example of a little boy in the street whose job was to clean shoes. The first Muslim I ever met in my life, and he greeted me with the Muslim greeting of peace, Assalamu alaikum, and he began my journey to Islam. So all of it, you're right, all of us can make a difference. And I've said before, in fact, on this show, I've said on Judgment Day, what a shock that boy will get. Because when he thinks his good deeds are finished, then they'll just start and they'll read out all the shahadas that have been declared because of him. And all the books and the articles and the television programs and all because of his good example. So yeah, all of us can make a big difference. In terms of other people, well, I'd say first of all, we need to look after ourselves. You know, we need to get our own house in order. It's easy to point fingers, always easy to point fingers, but there are always three fingers pointing back. You know, so that's one. But there are different ways of telling people. You know, let me give you an example, smoking. Some people would say, there are different ways of approaching. My approach is, we'll call it the gentle way. Other people have a different style, but my approach is a gentle way. So some people might say to a young man smoking in the street, it is haram for you to, you must not smoke. It is wrong for you to do that, okay? My approach would be to say, Ya Habibi, Almighty Allah doesn't want you to harm your own body. You shouldn't harm your body like that. The thing is, whichever way we're comfortable with and we think the boy will respond to, or the girl, because it's they we're speaking to, it's not us. You know, we shouldn't judge people just for the sake of us sounding good. If out of love and concern for them we want to tell them something, tell them in a nice way. Tell them in a way that they'll be receptive. It's no good just pointing fingers, wagging your fingers at people, telling them, what, this is wrong, this is wrong. First of all, give them a good example yourself. Show them that you're not just talking, but this is how happiness can be found. I can live like this. And then out of love and concern for them, point out, maybe you shouldn't be doing this, brother. It's wrong that you be doing this.
MashaAllah. Regards to the smoking issue, we were discussing this just last night.
Yes.
We filmed some episodes and we were talking. And I was saying that I like to remind people that our consequences are not... The consequences for our actions are not necessarily something far off. And I like to start with something very simple. I was telling him, I think everyone wants their dua to be answered, right? It doesn't matter how weak their iman is or how little they know about religion. Everybody would like their prayers to be answered. So if you see somebody doing something wrong, particularly smoking, my method would be, to just put the idea in their mind, Ya akhi, don't you want Allah to answer your dua? Wouldn't you like that? Because we know there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, how can a man's dua be answered if his clothes are haram and his sustenance is haram? And I think we would include cigarettes and that sort of thing. So I just remind him, wouldn't you like your dua to be answered, Ya akhi? This is...
I think it's very important, so sticking with the point, I think it's very important that the world in which we live now, life changes and the world moves on. And the age of pointing fingers at people and telling them how to live their lives perhaps doesn't work in the way it used to do.
Because the Islamic tradition spawned a very moral, pure people.
That's right.
So that if you told them this isn't according to the religion, they would obey immediately.
That's right.
But we're not in those.
It's not like that now.
Not like that anymore.
And so it just doesn't... I don't think it works just to stand on a box and rail against society and tell them you're doing wrong. You must find ways, either using that very gentle way that you use, we must find ways of talking to people. We've got to speak to them in a language they understand. If we're just using our own religious language, assuming that people are where we want them to be instead of where they are, they're not going to hear what we're talking about. If their only interest is football, talking to them about God will just go over their heads. Their only interest is football. You have to come in through the football somehow.
Right. MashaAllah. I think we have time in this segment for one more question. If somebody would like to ask one more question, go ahead.
Okay. We are talking about how to change our society. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, changes his society from community dealing with others only into community dealing with other nations in a better way. So I think that Islam has a great history. So it's it's important for non-Muslims to come to understand the ideas, the values of Islam, to be able to know that Islam has the ability to live with other religion in peace.
That's a beautiful thought. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't just change people, he changed the world. He turned the world upside down, peace be upon him. Or shall we say he turned a world that was upside down onto its head, right side up.
Yeah.
It's time, you're right, brother, it's time for Muslims to wake up and realize that we have a great past. It's time to stop dwelling on those people who keep telling us that Muslims are backward and uneducated and out of sync with modern society, because that isn't true. We point to the time in our history where, when people in London and Paris and Berlin were living in mud huts with thatched roofs, and the city of Cordoba was paved with street lighting and fountains and public parks and libraries. As Muslims, we can stand with the best, and we can point to scientists and doctors and astronomers and philosophers that have led the way. People talk about the Renaissance in Europe. The Renaissance came from Islam. It came from the Muslims in Spain. So we've much to be proud of, but we don't just dwell on the past. We're not just harking back to a golden time. Islam now is very beautiful and very strong. It's very sweet. And I think we should be both of those things. We should be sweet and strong.
MashaAllah. Well, this is a very interesting segment, but don't go away because we're going to have some very special guests with us in the studio audience. As soon as we come back, we're going to take a very short break and we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum.
The true life of the Muslim starts at death. If you wish to enhance your knowledge of the Islamic perspective on the hereafter, this life doesn't go on forever, but we do so little to prepare for it because most of us don't know what happens after this life ends. If you want to be amongst those who know, then join us every Saturday at 19:30 GMT for the inevitable journey.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to today's episode of Let's Talk. We're talking about being productive members of society. How can we help our society, benefit society? Brother Idris, would you like to introduce our guest today?
I'd love to. I'd be delighted to introduce Muhammad Ibrahim and Amr Noor. Muhammad, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Muhammad is a fifth-year engineering student. He's a graduating senior at the American University in Cairo. And Amr is a third-year engineering student, a junior at the American University in Cairo. And we're talking today about making a difference in society, Muslims making a difference in the society where they live. And I hope you will agree with me that these two are part of a group that really is doing something. You know, one of the big problems in our society is, why doesn't someone do something about it? Well, these guys are doing something about it. These brothers are doing something. They're involved in something called Glow Club, yeah?
Yes.
Just tell us first what your roles are in Glow Club, and then we'll explore what Glow Club is.
I'm a Human Resources Director in Glow.
The Human Resources Director, okay?
Yes.
And you?
I'm the Development Director.
The Development Director.
It's concerned by development port in Egypt. It's called Imbaba.
Tell me again?
It's concerned by development, a port in Egypt is called Imbaba.
I see, okay. Well, so it's developing a particular area in Cairo.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we'll go into details a bit more about what you do, and human resources too.
Yes.
But give us an overview of what Glow Club is, first of all. What is it?
It's a community service club in the AUC.
AUC is American University in Cairo.
The aim of the club is to develop our society, starting with the society in the university and going to reach the society of Egypt as a whole. We try to instill concepts like proactivity, leadership, and social responsibility within the people, within the members, and within the society as a whole.
Okay, hold up. Proactivity, what does that mean? Just so we don't have technical terms. Proactivity.
It means just when you see something wrong happening, you go ahead and change it by yourself. You don't have to wait for someone to change and then you just follow.
Because this is something actually that's been somewhat of a plague in the Muslim mentality. Someone else will do it, or I'll do it 2 weeks from now, and then nothing ever happens.
Is this a Muslim society?
It's the Egyptian society as a whole, including Muslims and non-Muslims.
Okay, so there are non-Muslims in your group as well?
Yes.
I see.
Which is nice, working together.
It's very. We're going to explore too the Muslim part of it too, because I guess part of your motivation, you're in it because you're Muslims and you want to serve Allah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more about the actual club. How did it start?
It started. Actually, it's a new club. It started in the summer. Two of the founders, they're Muhammad and Yahya. They're not here with us today. They thought about making a difference, starting a club that is diverse, that makes a difference, that tries to develop the society as a whole.
Okay, can we again? Interrupt. Let's just explain to the people, by a club, just so everyone understands. You don't just mean you meet on a Friday night and play billiards. At AUC, you have big clubs with money.
Yes. There's an office in the AUC called the Office of Student Development. That's the office that is responsible for the clubs, for how they operate. We currently have something like 30 clubs or so, and we have big clubs that include above 100 members and some smaller ones.
So where do you fit into that?
We're one of the bigger ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What sort of projects do you do?
We do lots of projects. Actually, the organization is split into 4 main directories. The first one is the Human Resources Directory, and that is concerned with developing the members within the organization. And the second one is called the OC, the Organizing Committees Directory. That directory is responsible for initiating campaigns that raise awareness about several topics and motivating people to do certain actions. The third directory is development, and Amr is the head of that directory. It's concerned with developing an area in Egypt called Imbaba. And the fourth directory is called media. and it's responsible for trying to deliver messages using tools like short movies and documentaries and so.
Why directories? Why are they called directories? Is there a technical reason for that?
I mean, they're big teams, so they're called directories. I mean, within each directory you have
so it's like
other
a section,
committees.
a section, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Within each directory you have we have like 3 committees under each directory, and then within that committee you have members.
I see. And do you have a budget?
Yeah, we do.
Big or small?
It's growing.
We don't need a figure, but is it?
It's growing. Yeah, it's growing now. I mean, we try to get our funds from sponsors and so.
Okay.
That's why we are making our big event, as we told you before. We are now organizing an event. It's going to take place, inshallah, in March, supposedly.
Inshallah.
So we are trying to get sponsors through this event.
I see. What kind of an event? A party?
No, not really. I mean, the main purpose of the event is to tell the people what we're doing, to try to motivate others.
Tell which people?
Everybody. Mainly the community within the AUC,
okay.
but outsiders are invited as well.
I see.
And you said that he's over a section that's working on developing a certain area of Cairo.
Yes.
What exactly does that entail? Like, what do you do?
We are trying to develop people's minds. We have a theme in this directory that don't give me a fish, but teach me how to fish. We are not just going to them and giving them money, charity, or not like that. We are trying to develop their skills so that they can develop their minds and try to find new jobs like that. We have three sections in this directory. We are trying to teach the youth computer ICDL to take a certificate so that they can help them to find a good job. And we are teaching other youth English through a committee called Language Development Program. And we're taking kids, small kids, to teach them the skills, ethics, and how to deal with future plans.
Mashallah. Let me just come in and ask a question there. You're going to teach them English, and you're going to teach them computer skills, okay? Now, is this just a nice idea? Just a bunch of university students, kind of well-off, educated kids. We're going to go and help poor people. Let's go and teach them English. How do you teach them English? How do you teach them computer skills?
We have manuals that we go and we take these manuals. There is a UNESCO program called the ICDL.
I see.
We take the manuals and how we can teach them these manuals. We first come with our members and try to figure out how we are going to teach these manuals to the youth in Mbaba.
I see. So you train each other first?
Yes.
I see.
And then we go to deliver our message there.
All of you, or just a group of you?
No, just a group. A group of members work in HR. A group of members work with development.
I see. So you choose which directory you want to be involved in.
Yes. Exactly.
I see. So the ones who want to teach English and computers, the ones who are good at media, they're involved in that.
Yes, exactly.
So tell us about your directory then.
My directory is concerned with developing the members within the organization, because we believe that if you really want to go out there and start developing others, you need to be developed yourself. So we're concerned with giving trainings and teaching people how to be good communicators, how to be able to do good negotiations, present your ideas, being leaders, being proactive, and all of that.
Which we should mention is a Quranic ideal.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Before you can fix anything, you have to fix yourself first.
Absolutely. The whole thing is a very Muslim, very Islamic notion.
MashaAllah.
Who does this though? Who trains you? You train each other?
No, currently, well, we do some trainings. The big trainings, we have a contract with a training agency called Adat. It's a professional training agency, and they come and give us trainings. But the small ones we can do ourselves, especially the technical ones, like how to start up a committee, how to go on a fundraising appointment, and so on.
Did you have experience of this before, joining Glow Club?
Yes.
You did? How?
Yeah.
How?
Through other clubs in AC.
I see.
Yeah. And we both joined at least 2 clubs.
I see.
and we took
now I have a
experience.
question. Other AUC, American University, has boys and girls students, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So boys and girls are in the club?
Yes.
Yes.
Aha. So how does this work?
We have, I mean, in Islam, we tried to abide by, I mean, ourselves, me as Muhammad and we try to abide by the Islamic rules in how to deal with people from like females, and so in doing that, we learned that we can interact with each other as long as the interaction is within work. But then outside, like in outings and whatever, we have those separate. So that's what we do in the club.
Oh, I see. So the outing, the girls go off and do one
Yes.
activity, and the brothers, I see.
Yeah, they go and play soccer
Mashallah.
and do whatever.
And what sort of results have you seen from your actions and your efforts? Anything as of yet, or is it too soon?
Actually, I think we're making a difference. I mean, we had a campaign called Simply Proactive that was launched in the fall semester, and we think that it affected lots of people.
Mashallah.
We had lots of stickers that, I mean, the aim of the campaign is that through simple actions, we can be proactive, like caring for each other, like respecting each other, like smiling. So we had stickers that says, I smile, I care, and I respect, and people just took them all and just put them on their clothes, on their bags. And
They promised, they each one had to promise that he will do something proactive through the coming month.
I have another question. I want to follow on this boy-girl thing, just in case the viewers are interested in this, because I asked you this before.
Yeah.
Who is guiding you in all that? Because you're Muslims.
Yeah.
You're Muslim, very good Muslim boys.
Yes.
You know, and you're doing all this for Allah's sake. I know you. I know these people. This is why they're doing it. So how do you avoid? You know, with the best will in the world, you've got brothers doing and sisters. Who's guiding Who's guiding the ship? Just you?
Actually, we have, as I told you before, we have the Office of Student Development supervising our actions. So within the organization, there are people with different motives. Like, I might be motivated by religion. Some people might be motivated by just serving humanity. So as for me, as from Muhammad, if I want to know if something is halal or haram, if I want to know if I'm abiding by the Islamic teachings or not, I simply just call Dar al-Ifta, and just ask if this is right or this is wrong. And the university, the OSD, is supervising to make sure that nothing extreme is happening.
Of course, they'll be looking at making sure nothing extreme is happening.
Yeah.
I still want to know though, because your motivation is as Muslims, you're working within a secular setup. The university is secular, so there's nothing with the organization itself that sort of guides you in an Islamic way. Or that's just a non-starting question.
Can you clarify that?
Yeah, I mean, you're doing it as Muslims, yes?
Yes.
And you want to abide by the way Muslims behave.
Yes.
And the university itself it's not a Muslim university, it's a secular university.
Yeah.
And with the best will in the world, you can say to yourself, well, I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that. But isn't there someone who can say to you, Muhammad, you shouldn't do that? Do you have anyone like that within your organization or not?
No, not really.
No?
Not really. I mean, like me and Amr, we sit together and say, okay, is this right or is this wrong? And then we can ask people. If it's something like that has to do with religion, we can ask Dar al-Ifta. If it has something to do with something technical.
This is the office of the Mufti, the Grand Mufti of Egypt.
Yes, yeah. You can call them and ask a question and they reply.
I see.
If it's something technical, we resort to the university.
Some things are very clear. الحرام مبين والحلال مبين.
Of course.
But in some actions we are doubt. Is it true or is it right to do it or wrong?
Yes.
So we go back to the office of the Grand Mufti.
I see. So you're all friends, really, that started the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you're all of the same mindset that this is what you want.
Yes, mainly, yes.
So what stops it when you're in your last year?
Yes.
What stops it in 2 years' time, when Amra's in his final year? What stops the whole thing moving to become a very secular organization? Is there anything?
Well, the thing is, I mean, we have a vision. Every club in the university has its own vision, has its own way of dealing with each other within the organization, and we're trying to keep that going through choosing who's going to be next, through just instilling these concepts. Because really, you can't just tell people, you have to do this, you have to do that, and then when they're off, when they go on their lives, they're not going to do that, simply because you're not there. So they have to believe that. They have to understand that this is what they need to do.
You have voting? You have voting for your leaders?
No. There are two different systems in the university. One that goes with voting, like voting for the president of the student union, for instance, and one that goes with just applying. And then like an upper board or committee just accepts this person or rejects him or her.
So it's a kind of shura system.
Yes, kind of. Yes.
It's a more Islamic system, really. There are checks and balances within it to check that your vision is being carried on.
Yes.
So what about the other directories? You've mentioned your one and your one. What are the other two?
The organizing committees directory. This directory is concerned with initiating campaigns and they raise awareness about different topics in the university, like the campaign that I was talking to you about called Simply Proactive. And they're also concerned with the big event that's going to happen, inshallah, in March.
Okay. And the media one?
The media one is concerned with just trying to instill and convey messages through media, through documentaries and short movies and stuff like that. Because we believe that media is one of the most effective means through which you can convey a message.
And who are you conveying the message to? Each other?
The society of the university, and also through Facebook and the internet and
YouTube. And we put these videos on the internet so that we can deliver our message.
Really?
So do you have a YouTube channel that you could tell our viewers go there?
Not a YouTube channel, but we have something called iGlow series. It's uploaded on YouTube.
Okay, so iGlow series.
Yeah.
If we search for that.
I and the space glow, GLOW series.
iGlow series.
Yeah.
And so if we search for that, we could find it.
Yeah, you find it.
Okay.
MashaAllah. It's fantastic, really.
It really is. I'm really impressed, actually.
And the thing about it is impressive. That's so impressive. It's not just that they're doing good work, but they're professional in the way they're doing it.
Yes.
Very professional. Training each other,
have this whole system of
human resources, checks and balances, and all guided by their vision of Islam.
The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, if you intend to do a thing, that you should do it to the best of your capacity. And I think, Allahu Alam, but I think that you're doing that from what I see.
And it's grown to one of the biggest universities in how long? How long's it been going?
It started over the summer, so
in a term, just over a term.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
And it's one of the biggest clubs in the university.
We got about 102 members.
MashaAllah.
So we look forward to see what happens 2 and 3 and 4 years down the road.
You'll have to come back. And tell us.
Have you on another show. Well, we're going to take a quick break for this segment. We'll come back and let our audience ask you guys some questions. So nobody go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break. Assalamu alaikum.
So this is an open invitation for everybody to recognize God and enjoy His blessings in this life and His mercy in this life and in the hereafter as well. Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Each name has a meaning. Each name signifies a nature of Allah the Almighty which no one shares or is compared to Allah in it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this episode of Let's Talk. We've been discussing being constructive members of society. How can we as Muslims better the places that we live, our surroundings, our schools, and various different things. We have with us, as always, Brother Idris Tawfiq, and we have these two wonderful guests in the audience, which I think we're both very impressed with, mashallah, and we have our wonderful studio audience. And this is the segment of our show where we give the audience a chance to ask our guests some questions. So who has questions for our guests? Go ahead, brother.
Thank you. I would like to thank you for the initiative. I would like to ask you one question, both of you. How can you see the initiatives of Egyptians to change? There are many people who are focused in the initiation to change the society and to change what's evil and to do what's good. So how can you see that initiatives? How can you see their missions, their professionality, and can you see all what they are doing?
I mean, if you talk about how to change a society as a whole, I mean, how to start on that, I think we should start on from the personal level. I mean, me as Muhammad, I should start by changing myself first, and then trying to make that grow into my family, and then my circle of friends, and then my university, and then my society, my country, and then the world as a whole. So this change has to be initiated by me first, and I have to change myself first. The society is like this big, let's say like brick wall that is composed of those small bricks, which are the members of society, me and you. And if those bricks are good, if those bricks really want to make a change, then the whole wall will be strong.
Exactly. And I want to focus more on Muhammad's point. And in Glow, we are working on three aspects. And we are working. Our community is our members, and then the bigger community is the AUC community, the American University in Cairo community, and then our bigger community is Egypt. Glow is trying to change Egypt. As Sheikh Idris said, every simple action makes a difference, makes a big difference. And I think if you have the initiative to change that, then you will.
Inshallah.
Can I just ask, what does GLOW mean? Why did you choose GLOW?
We had
something to stand for something.
Yeah. I mean, we had many names. I mean, we wanted to come up with a name that expresses what we do. So we believe that if I started by myself, and if I'm a good leader, if I'm someone that is proactive, someone that is socially responsible, then this will glow, and this will just be conveyed to everyone else. It's like, a small torch, and then all the light is just going to spread. So,
MashaAllah. So do we have
I'd like to ask a question about motivations. What are your motivations that make you do this project?
My personal motivation is religious, purely religious.
MashaAllah. Yeah. Anything particular in the religion, like any teaching or hadith, Quran verse?
Yeah, I mean, I when I first joined activities, I mean, like 5 years ago, I wanted to be one of those that seeks knowledge and then delivers it to others. I'm studying computers at the university, so I started out with teaching people how to use computers and stuff like that.
MashaAllah. Do we have a question, concern, comment?
Yes.
Go ahead, brother.
I'm very happy to attend such wonderful episode, and I want to ask if there are other similar activities made by the American University in Cairo also?
Yes, there are several. I believe we have like 9 community service clubs within the AUC. Some of the bigger ones are called AYB, which means Alashanik Beredi, Alashanik Beredi for you, my country. Another club is called the Help Club. Another one's called Hand in Hand, and so on. And they all aim at community service in different areas and through different projects and through different means.
MashaAllah. Well, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give your club much more success, inshallah.
All of us.
It's very great, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Well, I think we'll go to an email now. We have an email from, actually we have 2 messages from Sister Wafa Hafez. She's from Egypt. She sent us something before watching one of our episodes on Huda, and then something else afterwards. So I'll tell you the question first, and then I'll tell you what her response was to our first show. She emailed you, and she asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your deeds and so on, and she has one question. She says, what is the goal of our show, Let's Talk? And she does add, by the way, that she's a regular viewer of Huda channel throughout the years, and she thinks that your show will benefit it, inshallah. So I'll let you answer that question, and then I'll get to her Facebook comment.
To see if I've said the right thing.
Right.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, you see, by having brothers like we have today, the idea of the show is, people watching this show today, maybe some of them have never in their lives turned on an Islamic channel before. And the idea of the show is to just bring Muslims, ordinary Muslims, who maybe wouldn't watch religious programs, to bring them along, and in a very relaxed, hopefully entertaining way, we do what Muhammad has said, seek some knowledge, talk about it, share it with people in a very informal way, and then maybe not only Muslims will learn a little more about Islam, but also, inshallah, non-Muslims will see Muslims talking to one another in a very relaxed, friendly way, seeing how much Muslims love Islam, seeing here from this example, this is fantastic. You know, we talked in another episode about youngsters at university, and young people get criticized so much, and then Muslims get criticized too. And here we have just 2 of 100 and odd youngsters at the American University in Cairo, Muslims, working to change themselves, first of all. The thing I like is, you know, change, there are slogans about change we can believe in, and all this kind of, a lot of it's so much talk. But this isn't talk, this is actual, you know, it's not pointing fingers at other people, why don't you change them? They're doing it.
Right.
They're training each other, and they're helping people less fortunate themselves. So the idea of the show is to bring in a variety, to show the flavors of Islam, to show that Islam is beautiful and gentle and sweet and full of fun, and that it touches the heart, and it is for all people. That's the idea of the show, and inshallah it will work.
And I think we also have the goal of maybe being able to help and change some things along the way, because I think if somebody's watching and they see these brothers and they hear what they've done, maybe it will inspire them to do something similar or something like that.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
We hope for that, inshallah. Now, she also, after watching our first episode, said sent you a Facebook message, and I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone, our viewers, that you can find Brother Idris on Facebook. Is that correct?
Idris Tawfiq, or Idris Tawfiq Group.
You have a group, so if anyone wants to find him on there, get his messages.
We are friends.
Yeah, so you can find me too if you want, inshallah.
And Glow is on there as well.
So Glow does have a Facebook page. That's right, because of your media thing. So you can find all of us on Facebook, and we'll all be one happy family, inshallah. But she says she just wants to give a comment on the show, and she says, MashaAllah, it's a very good talk to your new show, Let's Talk, and she looks forward to the coming episodes. And she really liked what you mentioned about the guy who sold socks on Talat Harb Street, and she wishes the crew and everybody, all of us here, success, inshallah.
Thank you, sister.
Do you want to mention briefly that story about the guy who sells the socks again, or we want to save that for another episode?
Save that for another one. You'll have to stay tuned to Let's Talk to find out the story that Sister Wafa is telling us about.
Inshallah. So that's all the time we have for today's episode, so we hope to see you next time, inshallah ta'ala, here on Let's Talk. I really enjoyed being with everyone today, and we'll see you next time, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt. Success is a failure turned inside out.